Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. And I'm here to tell you guys in this film breakdown that Scottie Barnes is one of the most underrated defenders in the entire NBA. Over the past few games, he has to go against guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Paulo Banchero, and he has done exceptionally well in those matchups. And today we're going to be breaking down some of the film that we were able to acquire and gain off of the defensive aspects that Scottie Barnes brings to the table. And I think the Toronto Raptors are really putting a lot on his plate defensively. He's been a help side rim protector. He's been playing passing lanes. He's been taking matchups one-on-one, and he's been thriving as a defensive player. But not a lot of people are going to talk about it because it's Scottie Barnes, and he plays for the Toronto Raptors, one of the worst teams in the NBA. But I'm going to tell you this. They have been extremely competitive all season, and it's been one of the best tank jobs I've seen in a very long time. So let's get right into the film. As you can tell in this matchup, Scottie Barnes obviously has a very overwhelming matchup right here in Giannis Antetokounmpo, a top 3 player in the NBA, and he's going to be guarding him in the post. So let's take a look at what happens here. Clip this for y'all real quick. Okay, obviously he's staying in front of Giannis here. Now, before we go any further, Giannis was not able to really create the space that he would have wanted to with his back to the basket against Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes is about 6'8", 6'9", exceptionally strong. I think he did a really good job in this possession right here. But the possession doesn't stop here. Giannis is going to try and create space. He's going to try and bump him twice. It does not work. Scottie stays pivot. He gets the steal knowing that Giannis is going to get the ball back. So with Giannis trying to post him up, he gives it out to Taurean Prince, and he tries to adjust himself to get a favorable positioning to try and score at the basket. Scottie Barnes understands that. He cuts off the passing lane, and he gets the steal just like that. And now they're out in transition. And for those who don't know, Scottie is a great transition player and a great playmaker out of transition, so they get the easy bucket that way. Here's another matchup against Paulo Banchero, another very physically imposing type of player that Scottie Barnes had to be matched up against. Now, I think that this early screen by KCP was to get Paulo Banchero the favorable matchup against Grady Dick downhill so Paulo Banchero can impose his physical strength and get to the basket. So let's see how Scottie Barnes handles it in this situation. So Scottie's going to find a way to get back into the play, and he gets a steal just off of that. Just take a look at the awareness and the ability to fight through a screen like this. So obviously, when you have screens set this high, I've seen it for guys like Trae Young, for guys like Steph Curry, it's so they can get open looks. And for guys like Paulo Banchero, this is so they can get ahead of steam to the basket against a lesser physical player in Grady Dick. So KCP sets the screen extremely early. Scottie Barnes realizes what's happening. He's going to fight away from the screen, and he's going to instantly attack the ball and get a steal for the Toronto Raptors. That could have been a foul, but they didn't call it, so I'm not going to really penalize Scottie Barnes for that situation. So far, we haven't seen how good Scottie Barnes can move his feet on the perimeter. I think this is a clip of him guarding Paulo Banchero. Now, when you look at Paulo Banchero's stats, I think he had about 25 points, about 10 rebounds, and he shot about 10 for 19 from the field. But when you look at when Scottie Barnes guarded him, it was really tough for Paulo Banchero to get these buckets. So let's just take a look. Paulo Banchero tries to go one-on-one. Scottie Barnes moves his feet exceptionally well and makes Paulo take a tougher shot than you would have liked. Mind you, it's late in the shot clock. It's about 9 seconds left. Paulo realizes that there's nothing else to do, and I'm just going to have to get a bucket here against one of the best defenders in the NBA. So I really love how Scottie Barnes moved his feet here. So, one, he plays the passing lane. If you take a look, we're going to break this down all the way. We're going to break, because he did so many good things in this possession. Paulo Banchero looks like he's about to make the pass. Scottie immediately reacts and takes that away, because it looks like if Anthony Black keeps cutting to the paint, it looks like that's an easy bucket. Scottie Barnes cuts that off by just sticking his foot out and sticking his arm out, cutting off that passing lane, giving Paulo Banchero nothing else to do but to get a bucket 1v1. You're going to have to come out and play. You're going to have to beat me one-on-one, Paulo. And I'm a Paulo guy, so this was not the best to watch, but it is what it is. Scottie Barnes takes that away. He's like, all right, now it looks like we may get a steal. Paulo tries to do his jab step. That does not work either. Scottie Barnes is able to cut off that driving lane. It makes Paulo go through his legs and take a fadeaway mid-range, which is something that you live with compared to how Paulo Banchero plays downhill. I think one of the most underrated things in post defense is the timing of when you contest a shot. A lot of people get foul baited in the post because they just time their contest very badly, whether they leave their feet too early. And against offensive players nowadays in the NBA, if you leave your feet too early, everybody might as well just head over to the free throw line. We're about to go shoot too. But in this situation, Scottie Barnes was able to really create the level of contest to where Paulo Banchero just was not able to get a good shot. So we're going to take a look at it here. Paulo Banchero is going to try and bump Scottie a few times. And once you get the accurate amount of space with a bump, a lot of players who are going to that mid-range fadeaway are going to fade away as soon as they get the space. So Scottie just being able to hold his ground and then really, that's perfect timing. That's perfect timing. Let's go back just a little bit. This is perfect timing. If you take a look, he is now trying to contest either the spin because he's giving him the baseline, or he's going to have to contest the jump shot. So Scottie times this contest perfectly. And once again, anything taking Paulo out of the restricted area is a better look for the defense. Paulo has been playing very good as a pull-up shooter this year, as a mid-range scorer, but you would much rather live with him taking these type of shots than getting downhill. And I think Scottie Barnes, on his possessions against Paulo Banchero, has done a very good job of just eliminating that aspect of the game. So A+ for Scottie Barnes in this possession. Another thing I think Scottie Barnes does particularly well is drop defense. In this scenario, he's going to be able to play the ball handler and play Giannis at the same time with his drop defense, and I think this is very underrated. So let's check it out. So Chris Middleton's going to swing it to Giannis. They're going to have Gary Trent driving in the lane. Scottie Barnes is clearly in drop. He's attached to Giannis, but he is also focused on the ball handler until Jamal Shead can get back into the play and contest a potential shot. So Scottie Barnes plays that perfectly, and Shead is able to contest the shot, and that's a really good defensive possession. Here's another possession on Paulo Banchero where he's guarding Paulo Banchero 94 feet, moves his feet phenomenally, and puts himself in a position to where he can steal the ball and get back in transition. So let's check it out. Scottie Barnes is moving his feet exceptionally well. They try to get the screen for Paulo. Like I said earlier in the episode, they do these really high screens so Paulo can get a head of steam to the basket. Scottie Barnes avoids this screen phenomenally. He gets back on the ball, and he creates a rip-up. Getting out in transition and stares Caleb Houston down. That was actually pretty sick by Scottie. I like that play. Now, another thing that Scottie does defensively is he plays off the ball extremely well too. And I mentioned it earlier, as a help side rim protector, I think Scottie Barnes plays really well, to where if there was another really high level point of attack defender that could play key minutes in the starting lineup, I think that this Toronto Raptors team could have one of the better defenses in the league once they start building around Scottie and around the talent that they're going to get. So Jaylen Brown is obviously being guarded by Davion Mitchell, and that's an extremely outmatched matchup where Jaylen Brown could just impose his physical strength on Davion Mitchell. So you see Scottie Barnes in the helping lane, and he's going to really contest that shot pretty well. And that leads to an open Al Horford three-pointer that doesn't go in. But I think he protected the rim pretty well in this possession. Here's the final possession of Scottie Barnes guarding Paulo Banchero of this game. Now, Orlando has a pretty tough lead, or a pretty big lead, entering the second quarter. But I really like this possession that Scottie Barnes had on Paulo Banchero. Once again, he moves his feet well enough to get Paulo Banchero to pull out of trying to drive to the lane. And once again, I said earlier that one of the best things that you can do when guarding Paulo Banchero is keeping him out of the restricted area. The best thing you can do is to have him really take or really lean on those mid-range shots or three-point shots. And I think Scottie did a really good job of that when guarding him. So he stops him from driving to the rim, because once again, your rim protector outside of Scottie in Chris Boucher and Kelly Olynyk are now out of the paint. That's why Wendell Carter Jr. is standing so far away from the perimeter. So he's going to swing it to Paulo Banchero. Scottie's going to cut him off, make him pull out. Now, once we look at this, Paulo Banchero is taking that screen because he wants the mismatch in Kelly Olynyk. That's what he wants. But Scottie Barnes has stayed in the play. He stayed in the play and forced Paulo to take a really tough shot, and it rims out. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you guys think about Scottie Barnes' defense? Do you guys think he's one of the most underrated defensive players in the league? Do you guys think he's rated just fine? Or do you guys think he's one of the best defenders in the league? Or do you think he's totally trash? I hope I gave you some type of perspective on Scottie Barnes' defense, because I don't think a lot of people talk about him. So, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.